Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I want to talk about one of the most famous novels in the world's literature, Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Crime and Punishment explores the complexity of the human mind and soul. It's an exhibition of different characters and their inner worlds. Dostoevsky skillfully brings to life thoughts and emotions that we often hesitate to acknowledge, let alone express. He fearlessly shows the human soul for us to examine. Now, you might be wondering, how did Dostoevsky achieve such a remarkable understanding of human nature? How could one person possess the ability to feel, understand, and explain these complex aspects of human existence that even many psychiatrists struggle to comprehend? Well, the answer lies in Dostoevsky's own experiences. He learned from his own life's ups and downs and his personal struggles. Through his own life, Dostoevsky developed an understanding of human nature, allowing him to craft a novel that resonates with readers across time and cultures. Really, I traveled all over the globe and I've seen his novels almost everywhere. Whoa, okay. Crime and Punishment is not only a tale of crime, guilt, and redemption, but also a window into the complexities of the human soul. It invites us to reflect on our own thoughts, motivations, and moral choices. So, if you're a fan of thought-provoking literature and enjoy exploring the depths of the human psyche, I highly recommend giving Crime and Punishment a read. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel to have more engaging content. So, now welcome to the guide from Fyodor Dostoevsky's How to Write Crime and Punishment, step by step. Step 1. Be born in a historical place and live during an era of change in philosophy and the change of understanding of the value of human life. Dostoevsky was born in Moscow, Russian Empire, in 1821. His surname, Dostoevsky, belongs to the noble lineage of Artishev family, which traces its origins back to 1506. In 1506, his family was granted the estate known as Dostoev, according to local legends. The name Dostoeva derived from the Polish word dostojnik, meaning a dignitary or someone close to the emperor. The villagers, with a hint of irony, would mockingly refer to themselves as dostojniki, implying that they were worthy of serving the nobility. Dostoevsky means worthy, with a little bit of irony. And self-irony is a basic part of Dostoevsky. Just remember the fact that he named one of his novels The Idiot. And now it goes as a title on the books. Dostoevsky, The Idiot. Dostoevsky was associated with the Petrashevtsi, a group known for their free-thinking ideas about the government, society, and even religious beliefs. They argued that the peasants should be freed, strict censorship of printed materials should be abolished, and the judicial system should be reformed. They weren't the first to voice such ideas, but what made it interesting was the outcome that resulted from their discussions. And here goes step 2. An experience of a profound emotion that leaves a lasting impression of the value of human life and the soul for the rest of your life. In 1849, the Petrashevtsi were sentenced to death. They were even tied to stakes where their sentence was read aloud, and their eyes were blindfolded. But without them knowing, the government had already decided not to execute Dostoevsky and the others who were sentenced to death, and that it was staged to frighten them It worked, and one of them even got mad in the process. At the very last moment, they were dramatically pardoned. Dostoevsky remembered those minutes for the rest of his life. By the way, the sensations that Dostoevsky might have experienced before the execution are reflected in one of Knyaz Myshkin's monologues in the novel The Idiot, but we'll talk about that later. Step 3. To have the harsh path of a prisoner in the cold and daily contemplation. Naturally, people rarely end up tied to stakes immediately. So, Dostoevsky had to spend time on hard labor before and after the mock execution. Initially, Dostoevsky was sentenced to 8 years of hard labor, which was later reduced to 4 years and military service. During his brief stay in Tobolsk on the way to the place of exile, the wives of the Decabristi, this is another circle of interests, arranged a meeting with Petrashevtse and gave each of them a gospel. Dostoevsky cherished his copy of the gospel as a relic throughout his life. The following 4 years, Dostoevsky spent in hard labor in Omsk. Impressions from his time in the prison camp later found reflection in the novel Notes from the Dead House. Записки из мертвого дома. Step 4. To start a romance with a woman who is in the complicated family situation. At the end of February 1854, Dostoevsky was sent to the 7th Siberian Line Battalion in Semipalatinsk. It was there, in the spring of the same year, he began a romance with Maria Dmitrievna Isaeva, who was married to Alexander Ivanovich Isaev, a bitter alcoholic. After some time, Fyodor Mikhailovich received a letter from Kuznetsk. Maria Isaeva's husband had passed away after a long illness. Perhaps this stage of his life is reflected in the life of the Marmeladov family in Crime and Punishment. Dostoevsky married Maria Isaeva, but for him this marriage was not a happy one. Oops. Step 5. Freedom. It's better to be fully justified and pardoned after all. The pardon of Dostoevsky and permission to publish was announced by the highest degree in 1857, which restored the rights of nobility to both the Decabrists and the Petrashevtse. But until the mid-1870s, Dostoevsky was being watched unofficially. The period of imprisonment and military service was a turning point in Dostoevsky's life. From being a seeker of truth in man, he transformed into a deeply religious person, whose sole ideal for the rest of his life became Jesus Christ. Step 6. To be very brave. Dostoevsky was the first in the literature to depict the life of prisoners. He published Notes from the House of the Dead, and this work alone was enough for the writer to win a place in both Russian and world literature. But the critics and people in general did not immediately embrace Dostoevsky literature. Step 7. Go abroad for treatment and discover casinos. In the summer of 1862, Dostoevsky embarked on his first trip abroad, visiting Germany, France, England, Switzerland, Italy, and Austria. Despite the main purpose of the journey being medical treatment at German resorts in Baden-Baden, the writer became engrossed in destructive gambling at the roulette table. During his second trip through Europe, Dostoevsky spent time with a young, emancipated woman named Apollinaria Suslova, whom he referred to as an infernal woman. Dostoevsky's love for Suslova, their complicated relationship, and the writer's attachment to roulette was reflected in the novel The Gambler. However, soon the writer was able to overcome his passion for gambling. Step 8. find your own unique style. Dostoevsky pioneered the style of confessions of his characters, which he later inserted in many of his novels. At first, this style was misunderstood, and Dostoevsky himself began to be identified with his characters, which is, of course, highly incorrect. To experience loss. In 1864, the writer's wife and elder brother passed away. During this time, the writer lost his youthful beliefs and started to think critically about the values held by the wealthier people. Dostoevsky's thoughts on this matter later found their reflection in the novels of his great quintet and the writer's diary. Step 9. Motivation. Find a powerful motivation and an innovative idea. Facing financial difficulties, Dostoevsky was forced to agree to strict publishing terms for his collected works and began working on the novel Crime and Punishment. The first idea was a psychological report of a crime committed by a young man who had been expelled from university, living in extreme poverty, and who heedlessly and irresponsibly yielded to certain unfinished ideas. This student decided to kill an old person who lent money at high interest rates because this student wanted to make his mother and sister happy. Afterward, he could finish his education, go abroad, and live an honest life in fulfilling his human duty to humanity. But read the novel to find out what could go wrong. Spoiler everything. Every life is precious, come on. Step 11. Writing a novel in an impossibly short period of time. No time to wait. Rewrite and contemplate every line for months. Debts, hunger, and work contract forced Dostoevsky to write the novel in 26 days. Oh. The first chapters were sent directly to the conservative magazine Русский Вестник to Mr. Katkov, where they were published in January and February 1866. The chapters were published one by one under the harsh conditions of the contract, with the threat of losing his copyright and royalties for 9 years. Dostoevsky had to provide a new, never published novel by November 1st, 1866. Dostoevsky found himself in an impossible situation, where writing a new novel within such a tight deadline was physically impossible. No computers at that time, remember? By pure chance, the writer's friend Milyukov found the best stenographer, Anna Grigorievna Snitkina. Soon after submitting the manuscript of the novel Crime and Punishment to the publisher on November 8, 1866, Dostoevsky proposed to Anna Grigorievna. On February, the wedding ceremony between Dostoevsky and Snitkina took place at the Trinity Cathedral. The novel Crime and Punishment was paid by Katkov and was published in the magazine. Step 12. Provide a direction for world literature and philosophy for many years. Dostoevsky Pentateuch. This term is used to refer to 5 major novels written by Fyodor Dostoevsky: Crime and Punishment, The Idiot, Demons or the Possessed, The Adolescent or Royauth, The Brothers Karamazov. And this is the end. So, the next time you feel the urge to write Crime and Punishment, ask yourself, is it truly necessary? Perhaps you could just read what Dostoevsky has already written. By the way, I have a wonderful adapted version for those who are learning Russian. Thanks a lot. Watch next. Ciao.